You're not aware of any employee taking something that one would consider a vacation time and bringing their computer and maybe logging in just a portion of that time, or not at all? We have more than 25% of federal employees not logging into work, and they're teleworking.
Congresswoman, I do take issue with the characterization that 25% of individuals are not logging in.
It's in this leaked document right here that we just submitted into the record.
You're basing that from 2020, which was in the last administration, and I can't speak to that.
In 2020, there were 4.8 thousand pounds of fentanyl seized by CBP. But in 2021, it increased to 11.2 thousand pounds of fentanyl was seized by the CBP. That is a direct result of Biden administration policies.
President Biden, protecting our border, keeping our country safe. MeidasTouch is responsible for the content of this advertising.
An insane amount of fentanyl is being brought into this country by illegal immigrants, specifically. Would you say that is true?
Sir, again, we're here to report on the facts on border security. I probably defer from giving an opinion on anything in the news right now.
With the data, right?
Because that's probably doubtful. I can't.
Yeah.
No,
all good. Thank you, Chief. No, I appreciate it. I agree, right? It has to be rooted in the data. You know, a Cato Institute report and CBP data shows that more than 85% of the illicit fentanyl entering the United States is brought in by citizens of the United States of America. So, Mr. Chairman, I request unanimous consent to enter into the record the 2022 Cato Institute report demonstrating that illicit fentanyl is primarily trafficked by U.S. citizens at lawful ports of entry.
Is the Azov battalion getting access to U.S. weapons?
Not that I'm aware of, but if you have information,
I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the Global Times investigative report that that talks about training. It's from the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Lab, citing that the Azov battalion was even getting stuff as far back as 2018.
Without objection, so ordered.
Any reason to disagree with that assessment, Dr.
Is this the? I'm sorry. Is this the Global Times from China?
No, this is.
Well, that's what you read.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, would that be a reason?
As a general matter, I don't take Beijing's propaganda.
Well, no. Yeah, but just tell me if the allegation is true or false. I mean,
I don't have any evidence one way or the other. As a general matter, I don't take Beijing's propaganda at face value.
Fair enough. I would agree with that assessment. April.
I don't know why they waited so long to tell people about this, and if they knew the trajectory that it was on, it seems from late last week.
All right,
early last week.
And we're also told, by the way, that this happened 3 times under the previous president. Obviously, there were no public notifications there. Senator Rubio, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
A recent report states that Americans own 46% of the world's guns. I think we need to get our numbers up, boys and girls. China is a threat, but nothing, and I mean nothing, will bring America to its knees like the removal of our free speech, the cornerstone for our constitutional republic. America without free speech is like a phone without a charger. It's only a matter of time before it dies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like a parliamentary inquiry into taking down the gentlelady's words, the ranking member's words, for insinuating that our witness made white supremacist statements using his words. this is such a problem because we're seeing censorship all over. Mr. Roth, Miss Gaddy, did either of you approve the shadow banning of my account at Lauren Boebert? Yes or no?
No, I did not.
Not to the best of my recollection.
Well, let me refresh your memory, because on March 12th, 2021, and Mr. Roth, I know you looked at it because Fascist Twitter 1.0 had a public interest exceptions policy, which means for members of Congress to be shadow banned, it had to go before you, Mr. Roth. So I'll ask again, did you shadow ban my account? Yes or no?
Again, not to the best of my recollection.
So the answer is, Mr. Roth, yes, you did. I found out last night from Twitter staff that you suppressed my account for this tweet. It's a freaking joke about Hillary Clinton being angry that she couldn't rig her election. It's a joke. But in response, being the sinister overlords that you all are, you placed a 90-day account filter so I could not be found. And now we see here that Twitter staff said the visibility filter on my account excluded me from top searches, prevented notifications for non-followers, and much more. This is considered an aggressive visibility filter. You silenced members of Congress from communicating with their constituents. You silenced me from communicating with the American people over a freaking joke.
Additionally, Mr. Chairman, it's come out not just with Twitter, but it's come out that Donald Trump had White House staff call the Disney Corporation to try and censor Jimmy Kimmel because the former president didn't like his jokes. And to quote Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Kimmel has responded to this saying that President Karen demanded to speak to my manager in order to censor my free speech through corporate ownership. Additionally, not dealing with government censorship, but it's also come out, Mr. Chairman, that during the last campaign, Fox News provided Trump's son-in-law with confidential information about President Biden's ads and President Biden's debate strategy, trying to put their finger on the pulse of the election. And so, listen, I applaud you guys for going back 5 years, because we're going to find out that President Snowflake, through calling Twitter and calling Disney, was trying to hurt people's free speech because, it upset him. He didn't like being called names. And so you guys deserve credit that you want to get to the bottom of who did Donald Trump call, who did Jared Kushner call, who did the chiefs of staff in the Trump administration call to take down Americans' free speech, not just on social media, but also on television. I yield back.
Relay something that was just stated during the roundtable. Dr. McCary just said today at the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic's roundtable the following, and I quote, "The greatest perpetrator of misinformation during the pandemic was the United States government." End quote.
Based on those comments, I too would like to get more information. I mean, was that person specifically talking about the misinformation that President Trump put out about maybe putting light into the body could get rid of COVID, or maybe using a horse tranquilizer to get rid of COVID? Was he talking about the misinformation about maybe we can do like a cleaning of the body, as misinformation? And so, I'd like to find out the misinformation that was put out, COVID's going to go away away in like a couple of months. That misinformation, there was a lot of misinformation that was put out. And so I would love, we'd maybe hold a hearing on that, Mr. Chairman. I think that would be fantastic. I yield back.